One thing that can be really frustrating as a parent is you see your child struggling with a specific subject. They need help with their homework, or maybe they're asking questions on their homework that, you as a parent do not feel equipped to answer. IXL Learning is an online learning program for kids. It covers math, language arts, science, and social studies. IXL is designed to help them really understand and master topics in a fun way with positive feedback. I remember how much Eleanor struggled with math, and I was not able to help her, and having IXL would have really, really benefited her.
If your child is struggling, this is the smartest investment you can make. IXL is used in 95 of the top 100 school districts in the U.S. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Happier listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/happier. Visit IXL.com/happier to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price.
Hello, we're here for More Happier, a podcast where we get more happier. We are here for some weekend listening. We're kicking back with a little bit of a looser vibe. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi, Gretchen.
Today we'll talk about how excited we are for our upcoming hiking trip in England with Wilderness England. Plus, I have a big announcement.
So many announcements. Gretchen, you also have a merch sale to announce.
Absolutely. Okay. Massive merch sale just for fans of the podcast. You can get up to 45% off popular drinkware, organizational tools, apparel related to the podcast. Go to happiercast.com/merch. The sale ends June 25th, 2024. So act fast. It's super fun to have a big sale like this.
Yay.
Okay, but Elizabeth, now what is making us more happier? And this time, I think the same thing is making both of us more happier.
Gretch, the thing that's making both of us more happier is prepping for our trip to England.
Yeah, we're going. It's happening.
I know we both put it on our 24 for 24 list, and we're actually making it happen. I kind of can't believe it. I'm still waiting for something to happen.
I know. Yeah. Well, so we're partnering with Wilderness England. And Elizabeth, I'm really happy that we're doing this with a guide.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big trip. And you had the whole thing about comfort versus adventure, and that if somebody else is taking charge, then you can lean more into the adventure. And so I think both of us were craving a big adventure, craving a challenge, someplace new, a different country. And this would have been unthinkable. If we didn't have a guide and a plan to join, we couldn't have this kind of adventure. So this is exciting that we're doing this.
So if anyone hasn't heard us talk about this, Gretchen, we are going to the country in England. We're going to the Lake District and Northumberland. And every day we will take these epic, long English walks where we see things and we tramp through fields and mud. And it may be raining some of the time.
There's a lot of rain gear involved.
The rain, yes.
Yeah.
But it's sort of taken over our lives, figuring out what do we need, where to get it, what size.
I watched a YouTube video on how to properly lace your hiking boots. Because I thought, I bet there's a trick to this. And you know what? There is. So I'm sure the guide will be like, hey, there's a better way to lace up your hiking boots. But as I'm breaking them in, I thought I might as well try to have them on in the best possible way while I'm breaking them in.
Well, Gretch, we need to have a side conversation because I am at a loss with my hiking boots. I have now bought and returned the same boots 3 times because I keep veering between a 9 and a 9.5. So I don't know what to do because they say hiking boots should be a half size bigger.
Yeah.
And yet it feels so odd to me to have the half size bigger that then I go back to the 9, but then I read it again that it should be a half size bigger. So I got the 9.5. So right now I have one size and another one I've ordered.
Well,
and I need to make my decision.
I am no expert, but from what I heard when I bought my hiking boots and then also what I saw online is one is it should feel like you can wiggle your toe, but your foot shouldn't slide around.
Well, that would go to the 9.
Okay. And then how thick is your sock? Because if it's a little bit big, apparently you can do that with your sock, or maybe you could put an insole in if you need to just have it a little bit. I don't know if this is terrible advice, but I did run into something about this because I was worried that mine were too big because they feel big. They're not as snug as I would usually have it.
Yeah.
But my feet are not slipping around and your feet swell. So that's the other thing is you want to have the room for the swelling and you don't want the black toe from it hitting the end.
Yes. So, Gretch, that's kind of the unfun part of prepping is my back and forth on the hiking boots.
No, I feel your pain. It feels like a very big commitment.
That's the thing. It is a big commitment. Yeah. Yes. But we're having a great time thinking about it and fantasizing about ourselves.
Our father recommended Rick Steves' documentary. He does all these sort of travel documentaries. So I watched the Rick Steves documentary. That was interesting. I'll put a link to that and I'll send you the link, Elizabeth. It's interesting. I was thinking about trying to read books that get me in the mood. And one book, because we're going to Hadrian's Wall, I'm going to reread The Eagle of the Ninth by Rosemary Sutcliffe, which is a children's book, which I've read, and I remember really enjoying it. If I'm remembering correctly, it is set at Hadrian's Wall. So I've been sort of meaning to reread it anyway. And I thought, okay, I'll make sure that I reread it before we go. Because, the more you know, the more you notice. If you bring more to it, you get more from it. So prep will pay off.
Yeah. If anyone has recommendations for novels that we should read that take place in
the Lake District is like famed in song and story and poetry. So
yes, Wordsworth. It's Wordsworth country.
Yeah. Comes up a lot.
One thing I think we should do before we go is think about what kind of big thoughts are we going to have? Are we going to do podcast planning?
Yeah.
Are we going to think about our lives?
Yeah.
It feels we need to do some major thinking.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, this is leading into something I've been meaning to tell you. So, okay, that will be coming up in a minute. But yeah, Elizabeth, we're coming up on our 500th episode. So that's a catalyst for reflection. Yeah, let's think about big thoughts, big conversations that we want to have while we're having this cool adventure.
Yes.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah. One thing I'm excited about, too, is we'll be with other people.
Yes.
And I always love meeting people in this sort of circumstance.
You love that. Elizabeth, you're so good at that. You like serendipity and connection and engagement.
Yes, I just find it fascinating to see, why is someone here? What's their deal? Who are they with?
But this is one of the things why I think you and Sarah like the Happier in Hollywood retreat so much, is that it is that kind of thing.
Yes.
This is sort of a different version of that, which you get so much energy from, is just getting to know somebody all of a sudden, but very well, because you're doing something together.
Yes, it's just fun.
It is fun. It's a fun way to engage with people that you wouldn't normally cross paths with, so it kind of gets you out of the grooves of your own life.
Yeah, I think it'll really feed our souls, so to speak, to do this.
I think it will, and tire our feet, which hopefully will be well shod by the time we go.
Yes, hopefully I will make the right decision. And yes, because I need to start breaking these in.
But do you have a really outdoorsy friend that you could just like drive over and be like, please help me?
That's a good question. I didn't think about that. And believe me, I've been grilling the people at the store, but they're always like, it comes down to what you decide in the end. And I don't feel qualified to make this decision.
Exactly. I'm like, can't you just measure my foot and measure the boot, or like put your thumb down on the cap and just tell me? And they're like, well, it's subjective. I'm like,
yes. So we'll have to have a whole side conversation.
Okay, yes.
All right, Gretch. Well, you just mentioned there's something you've been meaning to tell me, and coming up, we are going to find out what that is. But first, this break. The weather's getting warmer, so it's time to say goodbye to jackets and sweaters and hello to shorts and tees. Gretchen, I am always on the hunt for the perfect t-shirt, and I found it at Quince. So well priced, such good quality. I am in love with the slub crew neck tee. I have it in white. I'm getting it in black, possibly multiples. I love it so much.
The best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the costs of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. Get warm weather ready with Quince. Go to quince.com/Gretchen for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Gretchen to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gretchen. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. I now work with a team, and I am here to say that finding the right candidate and hiring the right candidate is one of the very biggest and most important challenges to anyone who has a small business.
LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Gretchen. That's linkedin.com/Gretchen to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Gretchen, what have you been meaning to tell me?
Well, speaking of big thoughts and big conversations that we want to have over the summer, I have been meaning to tell you that I have decided that I am going to do some sort of project around what I am rebranding as the open door phase of life. So the first step in this was saying, so my younger daughter, Eleanor, we have her move-in date, which is August 22nd. So now that feels very real because now there's a date on the calendar that's Eleanor move in. I'm wrapping my mind around that, and I'm just very excited to explore it. And, for me, it's always research is me search. And this is kind of like the happiness project where I started thinking about it and talking to people about it. And then the more I talk to people about it and think about it and read about it, hearing from everybody about different metaphors for the empty nest, coming up with the open door, thinking about what did the open door mean generally? What did it mean for me? What did it mean for other people? It's just got me really excited to go deeper into this and make something bigger out of it, not just a segment here and there or like an article on my website, but give myself the room to think it through and to really explore it.
I've been saying for years, when this time of life comes, Gretchen, you have to write about it.
Well, and you are my sister, the sage, Elizabeth. So I have to say, as I was thinking about whether this was a good idea, I was thinking, well, Elizabeth has always been telling me that I should do something with this. And you know me better than probably anybody, so.
Well, I mean, and I'm interested selfishly. I want you to write about this for me, because my time will come in 4 years.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law, Michelle, and her husband, Tim, they are now in this phase, and she's calling it re-nesting. Because she's sort of recreating the home in a new fashion, which I thought was very poetic.
Well, see, I'll write that down and add it to my notes because that's one of the things I'm really excited about is like talking to people and how are they approaching it. And me, I love a category. I'm starting to see, it's like book versus tree, that thing about how people think about their lives.
Yes.
I'm starting to see different categories and how people fit into it and how they approach it differently and how you want to frame it and change it and how I want to frame it and change it. I just went to my reunion and then a week later, Jamie's reunion. So I was talking to a lot of people who are, my age exactly. So I was asking people, how are you thinking about this? And some of them were not in this stage. They'd already gone through it or they were coming up to it. But a lot of people, it was right around. And it was fascinating to hear people's reflections, their challenges, how they thought about it. There's a real range. It's just like everything. People have really different perspectives. And I find it endlessly fascinating to explore people's different attitudes toward it. And, and I love a catalyst for reflection.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like January 1st or it's halfway day, but sometimes it's a life stage. And this is a funny life stage because it's like, at least for me, there is actually a date on which this happens. Sometimes transitions are subtle and you only recognize them in hindsight or they unfold over time. But at least I can conceive of this as something that will happen like in the space of a few hours.
Yeah. And one thing I think is interesting is some people look forward to this and they can't wait for the day. And they're just like, ooh, yay, freedom.
Free bird.
And other people dread it
Yeah.
and are preparing to be crying for days and to be sad. And so it's interesting, again, to the reframing
Yeah.
how people feel differently about this.
Okay, but here's a question that I'm really curious to explore. Are people good at predicting their response? Because one of the things they say in happiness generally is they call it hedonic forecasting. How good are we at anticipating what will or will not make us happier? Like, do we do a good job of that? And what the research shows is, no, we're not very good at that. We're not very good at predicting what's going to influence our happiness and how. But of course, what you expect often shapes what you do experience.
Right.
And it's what you focus your
Self-fulfilling
attention
prophecy.
on. But it might be that if you're anticipating that it's going to be really hard, you might really shore yourself up and take a lot of steps that then make it easier. Or if you anticipate that it's going to be great, you might be then surprised if it's harder than you expect. Or maybe people are good because this is something that they've been thinking about and that they're familiar with. And so anyway, that's one of the things that I'm really curious about, which is, are people's preconceptions of what they will experience accurate? Now,
Yes.
probably a lot of people are like me, where I'm like, it's going to be bittersweet. It's going to be a mix of things. I'm going to have a lot of emotions, and they're probably going to change hour to hour, day to day for a while until I settle into it. But maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, one thing Mom said to me, because years ago I asked her, I was already thinking about this. So I said, was it hard, when I left? Of course, we had such a gap that she had a kid at home for a lot longer once you were out of the house.
Yeah.
And I said, was it hard when you actually had that empty nest? And she said, I don't know if I've told you this, she said, well, by the time you left, you were already gone.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And
Yeah.
it's true. It's like, she's like, you were already making your own plans, doing your thing with your friends.
Yeah.
So I thought that was such an interesting insight that you're kind of preparing for this before it happens. And that's a good thing. Kids need to start getting their independence before they actually leave the house.
Right. Well, I have to say, because Eleanor took a gap year, we did have this thing where she would leave for a long time, but then she would come back for a while, and then she would leave. And so it felt like she was going and coming back. But I do wonder if, and again, I will find out, I wonder if psychologically it will feel different because it's a major milestone where I don't know. I'm going to be really curious. I'm going to put that in my notes and sort of be studying myself under the magnifying glass to see.
And it'll just be interesting to see how Jamie feels. If you guys
It's going to be very interesting to see how Jamie feels.
I could see him not spending a lot of time thinking about it beforehand, and then it happened and him kind of having a big reaction.
I can too. So interesting. Okay. So there's a project in the works.
Great.
I haven't exactly decided what format that's going to take. I always think about, a book, but maybe it won't be a book. Maybe it'll be a different kind of format. There's a lot of possibilities there, but I'm excited.
Me too. All right, Gretch, what is our spotlight on a tool this week?
Well, summer has begun if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. And if you would like help designing your ideal summer, in the Happier app, in the extremely popular Spin the Wheel tool for June, if you spin the wheel, you get 3 fun prompts per day to inspire summer plans. There's still time, but this ends on July 1st, so there's a ton of time. Summer is passing. It always goes faster than we think. You can get the app at thehappierapp.com, and you can use #DesignYourSummer if you have a picture of your summer adventures. Elizabeth, we love seeing people's summer adventures.
Yes, we do. And by the way, Gretch, I did spin the wheel this morning, and I got make a 5 senses portrait of summer, which I love.
That's so
I think
great.
everybody should do that.
I did that. I did it for summers past and present, and it was so fun. In fact, Elizabeth, I should show it to you because probably a lot of them are going to be I'll let you do your own, and then we'll compare.
Sounds good. And Gretch, we all love to spin a wheel.
A wheel wants to spin, as Kevin says in The Office. Pam, a wheel wants to spin.
You can always bring it back to the office, Gretch.
It is my superpower.
All right, coming up, there's something you've been meaning to ask me, but first, this break. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. As your kids get older, some things about parenting get easier. They can make their own snacks and make their bed and do their laundry. but others don't, like having that conversation about money. The fact is, kids won't really know how to manage their money until they're actually in charge of it. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families. Parents can send money to their kids and keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens build money confidence and lifelong financial literacy skills. Jack has Greenlight, Gretchen, and he loves it. If I had Greenlight when we were young and I knew if I mowed the lawn, mom and dad would put money on my account, I for sure would have mowed the lawn more happily.
Millions of parents and kids are learning about money on Greenlight. It's the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and families to navigate life together. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/happier. That's greenlight.com/happier to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/happier. You've heard us talk about Great Jones and their stunning high-quality cookware. Well, I have to say, since I got my Saucy, I have found it much more fun to cook. The Saucy is a terrific saucepan with curved sides, a pouring spout. It comes with a lid. It looks gorgeous just sitting there. It makes it easier and more fun to cook. And I realized that that's the exact intention of Great Jones. As a women-run New York-based brand, Great Jones wants to equip and empower people to cook at home and make kitchen our happy place.
So whether you're baking sourdough, cooking scrambled eggs, or looking to transform your kitchen into your happy place at a great price, we can agree that it's time to upgrade from those old rusted hand-me-downs to the bold, beautiful, long-lasting pieces from Great Jones like we did. Get started today at greatjones.com and get an extra 15% off your first order with promo code HAPPIER. That's greatjones.com, promo code HAPPIER.
Homes.com knows that when it comes to home shopping, it's never just about the house or condo. It's about the home. And what makes a home is more than just the house or property. It's the location and neighborhood. If you have kids, it's also schools, nearby parks, and transportation options. That's why Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth information they need to find the right home. And when I say in-depth, I'm talking deep.
Each listing features comprehensive information about the neighborhood, complete with a video guide. They also have details about local schools with test scores, state rankings, and student-to-teacher ratio. They even have an agent directory with the sales history of each agent. So when it comes to finding a home, not just a house, this is everything you need to know all in one place. Homes.com. We've done your homework. All right, Gretch, we're back. What have you been meaning to ask me?
Okay, this is sort of not a philosophical question, but it's sort of a larger question, which is, I've been thinking about the fact that I wish I had something that I was really interested in that I followed that had like fun news. So I'm thinking about the way Jamie follows sports or the way you follow Real Housewives, because there's always something new to be interested in. There's gossip. It's current. Like there's always something new, but it's not like world politics where it matters and that it's weighty. And so my question to you is, because I don't have something like this, do you think I could make myself get interested in something, in some lighthearted topic where there's always some new material to engage with? Do you think I could foster that in myself on purpose?
Interesting question. I totally hear what you're saying because, yes, like with the Real Housewives, what I love to do is watch them and then listen to like 5 different podcasts about the same episode.
But see, that's fun.
It is fun.
That is really fun.
And it's a community feeling. You know, you feel like the podcasters are your friends who you're talking to about the housewives.
Yeah.
And yes, there's inside jokes, callbacks.
And there's always something to check in on.
Yes.
Something either happened or it might happen or did it happen?
I don't know if you can foster it. It's hard maybe because also you have so much reading you want to do. And following something like this will take away from your reading time.
Yeah.
But it might be smaller than you think. For instance, another thing I kind of follow in this vein is Mahjong.
How do you follow Mahjong?
Well, like I'm in a Facebook group and I'm follow it in the sense that people are always asking questions about the rules. And then I'm reading all the comments. There might be, like 50 comments about a question about a rule. People are talking about, have you gotten your 2024 card? And can you, in fact, buy your card somewhere besides the official place? No, you cannot, because there are so many fakes out there. And it's just kind of a community.
Right.
It's not unfolding news the way sports is, where it is changing. There's new results to a game.
Right.
But it is that kind of feeling of being able to check in and just see what's happening.
Right.
For instance, well, when you were deep into your Game of Thrones phase or Harry Potter phase, that would have been a time.
Okay. So this is a great point. Okay. Because this is something you've connected two dots for me here. Because you know that I've said that one of the things I want to do is the next time there's like a major cultural phenomenon that I think I could be interested in, I should follow it in real time.
Yes.
I should have watched Succession the way you did, in real time. I should have watched Mad Men when everybody else was watching Mad Men instead of years later the way that I did. Because looking back, I'm like, there were all these blogs and podcasts and there was a lot of discussion and I would have loved it, but I was out of step. So then it was all over. And so I think you're right. I think the next time, and you helped me spot this. For some reason, I'm not good at staying abreast of things. And I should. I wish there were something. Well, did I do that with Game of Thrones? I think that I was more in step with.
Well, you did listen to Binge Mode.
I love Binge Mode. But that's a great example. That's why I love Binge Mode so much. Exactly, that podcast. So that's a really good idea. Maybe it's that I can't make myself do it, but that I could hop on an opportunity and not let it pass. Or like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Right.
I ended up loving those shows, but I didn't participate in the culture of those shows at the time.
Well, let me ask you this. You love perfume. It may be on Facebook that there are some amazing perfume Facebook groups that you would just enjoy checking out.
No, but so I'll tell you why this doesn't work as well with reading and with perfume. Because with perfume, it's very frustrating because the only way you can experience a perfume is going to a store that carries it and smelling it. And so reading about perfume is very tantalizing, but it's kind of annoying. And I don't know why this isn't the same with food, because same thing with food.
Right.
Maybe it's because with food, you have an idea. You know what carrots taste like. But I don't know what CK1 smells like unless I've smelled it. And so it's actually kind of frustrating for me because then I'm like writing down lists and lists and lists of things that I want to go to like a department store and try. And the thing about reading, like I love a podcast like Backlisted. I love, the New York Times Book Review podcast. I love those. But then they make you want to go read the book, which I love to do. But then that's a big commitment.
Right.
It's like reading The Good Soldier by Ford Maddox Ford is different from watching an episode of Game of Thrones or an episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County or watching a basketball game.
Right.
And so I feel like it has to be the right mix of constantly updating, low stakes in terms of how much it matters in the world, but then also low lift in terms of what is your investment in order to like stay as a participant.
But yeah, like with the Mahjong group, I never write anything. I just read what other people are writing.
But isn't it registering like you're kind of learning?
Oh, yes. And I'm learning. It's reinforcing the rules, which is extremely useful for me.
Yeah. But I'm like, could I make myself interested in the Knicks?
I don't think so.
Or could I make myself interested in the Chiefs?
Not unless, I don't think you can make yourself interested. Not if you don't have an inherent, I think you can discover an interest that you didn't know existed. You can
nice
uncover
distinction.
But I don't think you can like force yourself to suddenly follow basketball.
Well, this is my secret of adulthood. You can choose what you do, but you can't choose what you like to do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think you're best off paying attention to yourself and when something hits that you're interested in, following it.
Yes.
Rather than trying to pick something out of the sky that you're going to decide you're interested in.
Yes. Well, that's kind of like the whole Iris Murdoch kick where that's reading. But again, it was like instead of just reading one or two and being like, oh, I like Iris Murdoch. I'm like, this is a thing. I'm into Iris Murdoch. I'm going to go on an Iris Murdoch kick. I'm going to read 8 of her novels or 10 of her novels. Yeah. So maybe that's the thing is just to pay. Well, it always comes back to this, Elizabeth. Pay attention.
Yes.
Pay attention, self-knowledge, mindfulness. Know yourself better. It's like, why is this so hard?
I know, but it's an ongoing journey.
It's a journey.
All right, Gretch, what is our quotation this week?
This comes from Listening Valley by D.E. Stevenson. It is not travel and adventure that make a full life. There are adventures of the spirit, and one can travel in books and interest oneself in people.
I like it.
So, Elizabeth, are you feeling more happier?
Yes, I am feeling more happier. Thank you to Chuck. Get in touch. Gretchen's on Threads, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Gretchen Rubin, and I'm on Threads and Instagram at Liz Craft. Our email address is podcast@GretchenRubin.com. And for everything related to this episode, links, photos, and more, go to happiercast.com. Bye, Gretch.
Bye, Elizabeth. The best time to start a happiness project is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Well, listen, I think what would be great is if there were a TV show, like a new TV show that was really great and that you and I watched together. And so I'll try to follow kind of the larger conversation, but then even you and I could talk about it, and that would be fun.
Yes, we'll have to be on the lookout.
Yes.
I don't have one top of mind, but you never know when one's going to hit.
You never do. From the Onward Project.
Start your summer road trip at Midas and get up to $30 off your next repair service. Plus, get a free closer look vehicle check to make sure you're road trip ready. So if you need a brake service, an alignment check, or tune-up, hit up Midas for up to $30 off. For more details, request your appointment at Midas.com.